All right. Yeah, got a grunge video. What the final year of Freddie Mercury's life was really like. I mean, it must have been because he does look terrible in like the latter years. Well, yeah, towards the end. I mean, Jesus. But yeah, let's go.
The legendary lead singer of Queen, Freddie Mercury, was diagnosed with AIDS in the late 80s and passed away a few years later. But what were his last days like? From his final songs to Last Birthday, here's what happened in the final year of Freddie Mercury's life. Mercury spent the last years of his life involved with men, but his greatest love was a woman. Mary Austin remained by his side for his whole life, despite no formal vow exchange. As shown in the popular film Bohemian Rhapsody, they were a couple for 6 years and friends until the very end. When Mercury finally became too frail to manage alone, she became one of his caretakers. What makes that more impressive is that at the time, she was in a relationship, had a son, and was pregnant with her second. December 25, 1990 was Mercury's last Christmas, which he reportedly spent with Austin and her family. According to Refinery29, the love Mercury had for Austin was clear. In fact, he left Austin his home and half of his fortune, and in the end, she got $37.5 million. The last months of Mercury's life were low-key. His health didn't permit him to live like a king as he once used to. Refusing to become the poster boy for AIDS, he became a social recluse. Mercury's diagnosis may have come in 1987, but he didn't admit he was terminal to his bandmates until 1989. Right after they released their 13th album, The Miracle, Freddie invited them over for a heart-to-heart. According to Rolling Stone, AIDS was never mentioned, but it was clear that Freddie wasn't long for this planet, especially when he reportedly said, "You probably realize what my problem is." All Mercury wanted to do was go about business as usual. Roger Taylor, Brian May, and John Deacon were shaken, but they did what Mercury asked of them. And so, in February 1991, Mercury saw Queen's album Innuendo released to the public. Queen later released another album once Mercury was gone, but Innuendo was the last album that Mercury witnessed. As he put it, "I want to keep working till I drop." And so he did. And while working on the song The Show Must Go On, Mercury was deathly ill. Brian May was incredibly concerned that the rocker couldn't perform the lyrics, but as GQ magazine explains, Mercury told his friend, "I'll do it, darling."
And no one's gonna stop me, honey.
And after some vodka, he did it in one take. According to an interview in The Telegraph, Brian May later said that the atmosphere during these final recordings was one of pure love. The 8th song in the Innuendo album was These Are the Days of Our Lives. The song was a chart topper, of course, but the real reason it remained so special is that it would end up being Freddie's last music video. In it, Mercury is gaunt and heavily made up, but looks a little less frail in the black and white version of the song. Sadly, his movements are a little less sure, although his fire definitely flickers at times. The final scene of the song sees Mercury looking directly into the camera. There's a vulnerability in his eyes, with a hint of his trademark defiance. For fans, it's definitely a bittersweet moment, as it works as both a reminder of his passing and a testament to his talent. These Are the Days of Our Lives was released as a single in the US on September 5, 1991, which also happened to be Mercury's birthday. The man had just turned 45, and the black and white video made Freddie look youthful. But the behind-the-scenes footage, which were in color, showed what the disease had truly done to him. Speaking with People, the music video's director said that the bottom of Mercury's foot was like, quote, a completely open wound. But despite the pain, Mercury remained professional until the very end. As for the song's release date, it was a birthday treat for his American fans. And at home, his last birthday was reportedly intimate yet lavish. In an interview with the Daily Express, Mercury's friend Dave Clark said that the rocker celebrated with 30 of his closest friends. Together, they all dined on 30 different courses, plus there were 30 types of wine to go with each course. However, Jim Hutton, Mercury's longtime partner, has different memories. According to All That's Interesting, he remembers Mercury as terribly frail on his last birthday. This was when Hutton realized that Freddie wasn't going to be around for long, and it nearly broke his heart. Mercury kept his secret for quite some time, but on November 22, 1991, the rocker had a change of heart. According to a Guardian report, Mercury released a press statement that said, "Following enormous conjecture in the press, I wish to confirm that I have been tested HIV positive and have AIDS." The statement said that he had wished to keep this information private to protect the privacy of his family and friends. It also read that he felt it was time for the truth to come out and for the fight against this disease to carry on. However, according to the Daily Beast, Jim Hutton doesn't actually believe this was Mercury's doing because by this point, he was too far gone. Hutton explained, He couldn't have done. He wasn't capable. His manager, Jim Beach, released it. I don't think he would have wanted it. He wanted his private life kept private. Either way, the papers carried Freddie's declaration on Saturday, November 23, 1991. Sadly, the next day, on November 24th, Mercury was gone.
I just want them to have a carnival every time they listen to my songs, you know.
Yeah. Well, it's mad. What was he, 45, did they say? I just watched an Elvis one. He was, what, 42? Yeah. Crazy. And he does look bad towards the end. He really does look bad. Yeah. It's amazing, really, isn't it? It's amazing how, like, AIDS is just not something that is really as relevant now. I don't know whether they treat it better or what, but you just don't hear about it as much as, like, in the 80s and that. I mean, it was a death sentence if you got it, but I actually saw someone, I'm going to butcher whatever it was, but talking about AIDS and saying that AIDS is basically a failed immune system. HIV attacks the immune system, so therefore it leads to AIDS, but AIDS can be got from other ways too. But I might be wrong. I might have it the other way around. But yeah, that's kind of crazy. So HIV doesn't necessarily isn't the only way to get AIDS. Like malnourishment, I think, is one. And basically, yeah, it just means your immune system's failed. But then, yeah, HIV is just something that attacks your immune system. I'm sure that's what he was saying, something along them lines. But you think if it was happened now, like, he'd still be alive. If he was famous now, yeah, he'd still be alive. But anyway, that's the reaction.